So the purpose of best management practices, or BMPs, is to scientifically evaluate traps and trapping systems that are used to capture fur bearers in America. They're evaluated based on 5 criteria: animal welfare, selectivity, efficiency, practicality for the trappers, and safety. The best management practices are used to inform people about traps and trapping systems that are considered to be state-of-the-art in animal welfare and efficiency. They're a reference guide for wildlife management agencies, conservation organizations, tribal nations, trapping organizations, individual trappers, and others who are interested in continuing the improvement of traps and trapping systems. The best management practices are a project that were developed by the Fur Bearer Conservation Technical Work Group of the International Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies. And it's one of the largest projects of its type in the world. It began in 1992 and continues until this day.
Live hole foot trap, or leg hole trap, whatever you want to call it, is the most widely deployed animal capture device in the United States today. The reasons for it are fairly simple. It's lightweight, it's compact, it's relatively inexpensive, it's easy to manufacture, and it's also easy to teach somebody how to use it. The various parts of this are the frame, which includes the base, a cross frame, and they all serve multiple purposes. The trap jaws, of course, it's spring powered, and it has a holding device up in there which holds the spring and also is a rotation for the spring levers. It has a pan for the animal to step on and a notch that allows it to be a trigger system. There's several parts of this that are actually quite interesting in that they're very simple and very effective. One of the attributes of this trap is it's easily modified. It comes in a variety of different sizes for different animals, and it can be modified to suit within those different animal sizes. If I set this trap there's several parts on here. When this trap was original, because it's easily modified for different animals, the jaw width on it was this thickness right here, if the camera can see. The modifications I made to it were putting an extra piece of wire on there to make a larger face for the type of trapping that I do. The whole theory of this trap in here is fairly simple. The animal steps on this, the trap comes up and attaches itself to the animal's foot, usually right around the wrist area, around the pad area. What makes this trap really specific to different types of animals, if you can get in here and look close, there is a bolt nut arrangement down here which acts as a tightener, and when you tighten that, the amount of pressure it takes for this to go up or down, especially down because that's how the trap works, and I'll show you in a second. This can be adjusted from virtually a half a pound up to as much as you want to, so you can match it to the size animal that you have. It's relatively easy to learn how to use this trap. It's very simple. The design has been around forever. However, some of the modifications we use today, such as the extra pads, extra width on the jaws, are something that's fairly new within the last 20 or 30 years. How it works is actually very simple. An animal just pushes down on the paw and gets caught like that. What happens in there is this trap is designed to hold an animal. It's not designed to harm an animal. In fact, whatever is caught in here, either a wild animal or a domestic animal, when it's taken out of this trap, it has to be in this type of shape that allows it to go back into its habitat totally unharmed, ready to go back and go about its life. One thing a lot of people don't realize is that the springs are not what holds the animal. It's the mechanical advantage of the trap. When the springs push this spring lever up, and that's what actually holds it. So the springs just need to take the jaws out of the ground up to a certain point and just hold the spring levers up here. So it's a mechanical advantage which actually holds the animal. There's actually very little pressure on these jaws right now, but the jaws cannot open up because the spring is putting just enough pressure on it to keep this locked in place. If you look at the bottom of the trap, because the trap is only part of the whole thing, we have found, the trapping community has found, that if a trap is attached to the ground by the center of it, when an animal pulls against this trap, he's pulling straight. If he was attached over here, he would slide in the jaws and create some kind of damage. So that's the first thing we do with most traps, is they're attached to the bottom. Because this trap is on an animal's paw and allowed to move with the animal, that animal will not be harmed. So we put swivels in here so that this trap can move freely and still be staked to the ground. By having a relatively short chain, the animal can't get going at a great deal of speed and pull against this, which would cause some kind of an injury. If you notice, this trap has 2 swivel points, a short chain, 2 more swivel points, and at the bottom has another set of swivel points. So there's 6 swivel points on this trap. This trap will, even if it gets clogged up with some kind of debris, grass or whatever, this trap will still move with the animal. If you notice, the chain is short. It has a spring in here, so if an animal lunges against it, the spring absorbs that lunge and creates less damage to it. And because this animal is going to be in this spot, it has to be some kind of an arrangement to attach it to the ground. And this particular loop in here allows somebody to put stakes in the ground, or multiple stakes in the ground, be attached to a cable to a tree, could be attached to a log or a rock, or it could be attached to a grapple with a chain attachment. So it allows a great deal of variety in how you're going to go about it. Most states require a trap tag on there, so somebody that wants to check this, such as a game warden, can tell who owns that, and that's what this here is. This is a tag with my name, address on that trap. So this particular trap is highly efficient, highly selective, and the best thing about it, I can come upon an animal in this trap and release it unharmed to go back into its habitat.